Imagine it's your first day out and you and a bunch of other baddies are forced to either break into the space version of Fort Knox to retrieve a game-changing state-of-the-art piece of tech, or go boom if you fail to comply. Yo, welcome back to the House of Animation. It's your boy Jay back with another video for y'all. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn them alerts on. In today's video, we are going to be breaking down the major theme and diving into the exciting world of Justice League Unlimited with a focus on the iconic episode titled Task Force X. So sit back, relax, and get ready for an action-packed adventure. But first, let's drop that intro. Written by the great Dwayne McDuffie, which explains why this episode ranks so high on my all-time Justice League / Justice League Unlimited episode list. Task Force X is the 4th episode of the 2nd season of Justice League Unlimited, where the Task Force X, led by Rick Flag, who shares a deep sense of patriotism, leading the morally ambiguous villains of Task Force X to infiltrate the Justice League's very own watchtower. We see how the intense sense of duty and patriotism clashes with the acts of moral ambiguity from not only the members of the task force, but as well as some of the members of the Justice League, and what the fallout is. This episode literally pits the government against the very own superheroes who have risen from their very own nation. Let's break this joint down. We first open to Floyd Lawton, aka Deadshot, taking his last walk down to the Zappy chair with the warden and prison personnel and a priest. And as the priest asks if he needs to give him his last prayer, Deadshot is set in his ways and tells him, "Nah, I'm good, bro, but if that makes you happy, go on ahead." This introduces us to the psyche of Deadshot, who never fails to miss a mark, knowing that not even a gracious prayer could erase the sins of his past that are now defining this very moment. Opening up the door to the lecture chair, they are shocked to see Colonel Rick Flag sitting in it, leaving Deadshot to smugly remark, "Oh well, I guess we're going to have to try again tomorrow." And I ain't gonna hold y'all, the way Rick Flag holds himself in this episode gotta be respected, bro. Like, he is no nonsense when it comes to the BS and is witty. Even when the warden tries to hit him with the "nah, we frying this man today," Flag serves him papers stating otherwise. Ending the scene, we see Deadshot smartly reply with a "what if I don't want to go with you?" And he only gets checked by Flag saying that, "then you can go sit in that chair, bruh." Man's is cold. And this is the very opening scene. We see the morally ambiguous Deadshot's ideals clash with Flag's intense sense of duty and patriotism, a theme that plays as a major plot point in this episode that's layered intricately behind the spy thriller that left most viewers thinking that this was just the Suicide Squad versus the Justice League, but it's way deeper than that. Driving away from the prison, we are given more proof of this theme when Flag introduces himself as Colonel Rick Flag, to which Deadshot goes like, "Really, bro?" And thinking back on it, I never peeped how on the nose this man's name was. Bruh, it's Colonel Flag. How much more patriotic can that be, son? And just as Floyd is about to hit the Ejectocito, taking advantage of the freeing himself from the suspicious new lease on life, Flag asks him how his last meal was, informing Floyd that if he tried any funny business or tried to run away, it would be kinda hard without no head, as his last meal he had was laced with micro remote bombs. Hold up, I found this funny because if you know the name of Team Force X in the comics, it was an alternate name for the team's real name, the Suicide Squad. But being how this was a show for kids, I assumed the studio heads thought that was a little too graphic, but yet they were fine with Flag saying he would literally blow this man's heads off. Heard you. Anyways, knowing that nothing comes for free, Deadshot asks what the price is, and Flag explains that they need someone who is morally ambiguous like he was and could adapt and do some criminal-esque things, telling him he's not here to kill anyone, as Deadshot was a contract killer, but he was broken out of prison to break into the Justice League's watchtower. And initially, Deadshot's face is filled with shock, but then flips to nothing but smug happiness, stating, "I've always wanted to die for my country." And for those who aren't familiar with Deadshot, he is a villain out of Batman's rogue gallery. Seeing this as a chance to get a little payback, he's hyped, but little does this man know he's in for a thriller. They finally make it to their destination, which is actually an old Lex Luthor warehouse, who essentially made it Justice League spy-proof, giving Task Force X the perfect place to plan. And this setting is very crucial, and we will revisit it later, as we meet the rest of the team, which includes villains all from the Justice League members' individual rogue gallery, comprising of Clock King, who is the planner and man in the chair, Captain Boomerang, the inventor and thief, and this little baddie, the red-haired Plastique, the demolitions expert, whom Deadshot immediately is on backs and start rizzing up. And to be fair, I don't blame him for shooting his shot off rip. And it's funny again because they thought that the name Suicide Squad was too much for kids, but yet they filled this whole episode with mad sexual innuendos, and those def went over my head as a kid. The Clock King explains, much to the team's concern, that they found the optimal point to infiltrate the tower, which is at its weakest moment since the only members on board are Green Lantern, Captain Atom, and Martian Manhunter. As the opposition, and honestly, I'd take the chair because the way they list off their powers and make it seem like it'd be a walk in the park because the rest of the tower was just filled with personnel. Hell no! All three of these members are capable of wiping out the team single-handedly. And I'm with Captain Boomerang when he says this.
We may as well be storming Heaven's Gate itself.
After going through all the possible scenarios of the plan, they foreshadow what eventually comes on later when discussing what Plastique would do in the event that Superman would appear, saying that she would take a hostage, showing that she is willing to kill to get the mission done. To which Rick replies, no unnecessary killing. At first, it makes it seem like by killing someone, it would leave a body that would get them all caught or throw off their plans, but I think it was more so him showing his moral code. They finally enact their plan by catching these Watchtower worker bozos, telling a very corny ass joke in a cornfield, and as soon as they're about to get beamed up, they knock them out and take their place. Once up in the tower, they are able to bypass the security checkpoint with some high-tech glasses and threaten the guard whose security machine just got hacked by them by telling him that they must let them through or they would have to take it up with John. And I ain't gonna hold you, this guard is about to poop his pants. So the guard lets them pass. Pause. So you're telling me that the world's most advanced space station is getting hacked by a pair of high-tech glasses and the workers fear their very own superheroes that employ them? What's going on up there? After passing the checkpoint, it breaks out into a full spy thriller with everyone gearing up with their weapons. The team is divided into two smaller teams, with Rick and Captain Boomerang going to retrieve the package and Plastique and Deadshot who mess with my man Green Lantern's broken heart when they ask him about Hawk Girl who just finessed this man. And I know the feeling, brother. They go to the lower levels to cause a diversion by bombing the reactor. As the team splits off to do their own thing and their objectives, they realize that there were some unknown variables in Clock King's plans, like Atom Smasher being on board, as well as there being a room where the package is containing another room before it. And with the clock ticking and Deadshot getting into a fight with one of the workers who figures him out, they are forced to speed up the timetable a bit and go with the backup plan. And just when Rick's team needs that distraction, the reactor explodes, giving Rick and Boomerang the perfect opportunity to blow up the door leading to the package. John is notified by his assistant Bobby V that there is a hole in the reactor and orders all personnel to evacuate and close all the blast doors on the lower level to contain the radiation. As Plastique and Deadshot race up to meet the rest of Team Force X, they run into Captain Atom who saves them from a closing blast door, not realizing that they were the very cause. Atom is just acting in a patriotic way because in many ways he is the Justice League counterpart to the Task Force X Rick Flag, both being a military and having a patriotic sense of duty. The package that the team was trying to retrieve was actually the Annihilator, a superpower robot which was Hephaestus's vessel and the chosen weapon of Ares, the god of war. Yes, the god of war, which is only triggered by rage, forcing Rick to punch Captain Boomerang square in the jaw. And ready to fight back, Boomerang remembers this. Plus, I don't think he really wanted to fade with Rick. Boomerang then displays his morally ambiguous ways by trying to deviate from the plan, wanting to leave now since they secured the package, leaving the others to figure it out, but is overpowered by Rick's cold look and him saying that we stick to the plan and they have 3 minutes, really embracing that no soldier left behind mentality. Plastique's team finally meets up with Rick and they book it to the bridge where the teleporter is located, with the League growing suspicious when John tells Green Lantern to take the rest of the personnel since all the parts are taken, and also Atom informing John that this was no accident. Along the way, the team is stopped by Shining Knight, Vigilante, and Atom Smasher, but managed to defeat them with the Annihilator's help. Reaching the bridge, they are confronted by John, who easily mops them up until the Annihilator literally tears this dude in half, subduing him long enough for the team to reach the transporter. John recovers and defeats the Annihilator, but Plastique is able to put him in checkmate by holding a bomb above the throat of the unconscious Atom Smasher. And this act right here allows the others to get on the teleporter. And just as Plastique's about to join them, Captain Atom, who has to be the hero, tackles her, and one of her bombs goes flying. Deadshot coldly detonates it like he wasn't trying to get a piece of that earlier with a shot from his pistol. And in the confusion, 3 of the Task Force X and the Annihilator teleport away. Plastique is left behind, severely wounded. Shoot, I thought she was dead. And John checks the transport console, which has been sabotaged, and blows up before he can trace the coordinates, saying that they thought of everything. In the end, we find out who the true head was and are introduced to Talia of the Project Cadamus, and my girl Amanda Waller, who compliments Flag by saying his daddy will be proud, and he hits her with that nod and walks away. That's a cold brother right there, man. When Deadshot is about to leave, he bids everyone a cheerful goodbye, but Flag hits this man up with a little two-piece and informs him that he's to serve the Task Force X for 5 years before he can go free. Otherwise, he can go back to prison and fry. Deadshot snidely asks Flag how is Waller blackmailing him, to which Flag tells him that, yo bro, not everyone needs to be blackmailed to serve their country patriotically. And aboard the Watchtower, John actually discovers that Bobby V, a member of the bridge crew, his own assistant, was passing inside information to Cadamus using an anti-telepathy device to mask his thoughts. John is tempted to wipe out Vance's mind, but Green Lantern tells him that it would be pointless since Vance has probably already leaked everything he knows, leaving them to come to the conclusion that they cannot trust any of their staff now. And the episode pans out. Overall, the Task Force X episode had a significant impact on the series, expanding the storytelling, exploring the moral complexity, and providing character development, as well as generating fan interest. I can definitely attest to that. It added depth and complexity to the Justice League Unlimited series and left a lasting impression on the viewers. But where it really shined was in showing the government's growing fear of the superheroes and how powerful the League has gotten and what they would need to do to defend themselves if the League ever went rogue. A possibility we've already covered on this channel. It shows that Lex was right all along in his fear and suspicion of Superman, even though he may have gone about it mostly wrong most of the time. We even see the task force use Lex's old warehouse, hitting it right on the head and showing where the government's ideals are starting to align with. This episode was different not only because it was super action-packed, it was well written. I mean, Dwayne McDuffie wrote it, so I'm not surprised in finding that out years later, why this episode was truly up on that list for me. But a superhero cartoon being shown through the lenses of the villains and what they see, to them killing is normal and doing what they must to survive, even if that means backstabbing or sacrificing, that is just every day to them. And we see that being conflicted with the ideals of Colonel Rick Flag, who is a no-nonsense, strict to the book type of character, which is illusion for his patriotic ways and stance. He can even be seen as braggadocious and high and mighty and hella condescending, shoot, even cocky to some, but you cannot defy that he cares or sticks to a moral code. He does not want to perform any unnecessary killing since the Watchtower workers are what I presume mostly US citizens, or leave any Force X member behind. And remember that punch or that two-piece he gave Deadshot? Yes, it was to remind him of being an indentured servant, but it was also to let him know that he wasn't really rocking with Deadshot, essentially causing Plastique to be left for dead. Like, he low-key busted Deadshot's ass. It's like every time one of the team members, the villains, try to oppose Colonel Flag, they would easily be overpowered by his patriotic ideals. And remember the time that this episode came out? It was 2005. The US was 2 years into the Middle East. And to me, this was like a metaphor to meaning that the patriotic way would always prevail. This episode also depicts how the villains see the heroes and how some of the Watchtower personnel also see the League members, as we see the security guard literally about to poop his pants just at the mere mention of the Martian's name, or even the way that John is depicted in this episode. I swear it's like every time we see this man, he's depicted as the villain, growing darker and darker as his rage and suspicion builds up. And it's kind of confirmed at the end when he almost lets that rage consume him, when he threats to wipe the last 2 years of Bobby V's mind. And honestly, I think he was more so tight because this literally happened right under his nose and he was not able to see it coming nor stop it. This spy episode was great, man. It was action-packed and it gave us so many different elements that we were not used to, and I highly recommend it. 10 out of 10 again, and I don't care what you say. Thank you for stopping by the channel and checking out our video today. Make sure to click that like and subscribe button and turn the notification alerts on. You do not know how much it means to us. Also, make sure to drop a comment below on what you thought of the content and whether you agreed or not. And well, with that, you already know what it is, baby. Gotta blast.